This is Valley Forges and George Washington, the heart of everything that's sacrificed on the Constitution, also Declaration of Independence, 1776, 1776, original 1776, 1778. This is by Dury, Tuffling, Clavin, and New York Times bestseller. This is the center of the Central System and George Washington Archive System. This is the most crushing failure of friends on political conspiracies and bits and pieces of the actual documentations of the archive originally, delivering the province and all, transporting the Indians, which is called the Simon's Mall. Simon's Mall, that was all Indian territory. The Columbia River was entire Indian territory. There's teepees, and also the Bay Rock services all the way to the Y, the big Y, all the way to Benton City. Benton City is Yakima and Columbia River. That one time those services was all bonded until they foot paddled and maneuvered soil to blockade and manage it. Now that's Freda Courthouse, 42 George Washington House. And that's the services, that's Lola Hernandez on the plaque. Resemblance of the white man's road in Buffalo and Spokane, Washington, called Denver Historic Hotel. That area is all Indian land, was now historic. It's Davenport and also called the Nation, and also the services they have of the City Bowl, Geronimo, Mr. Benvedides, where they, of course, they stabbed them to death every time they had their chance because of Colin Powell. These features in archive systems, they have Mr. Chief Blackhawk. This is Chief Blackhawk. It's called Black, now they call it Blackfoot. And that's Blackfoot, Sputnik Lockwood's, and STS Lockwood's milestones, and also harvesters. Now, the Sour Heart on the past Blackhawk was denoted in Boone, relax. Boone is Idaho, but this is Boone as in the stepping stone of the prosperous framing of the locations of the Great Lakes, which is the areas of traditional holdlands, flatland areas, North Carolina, South Carolina. And these flatlanders are the Providence Canal of 1830s. They have influx newcomers and New Englanders and Christopher Columbus, basically. These trays of services were exchanged for services for oil, which is now called the services where they accept the Sundance, which is in Yakima Reservation, Yakima, Colville, and the services they have are totally different. It's called Wounded Knee. Wounded Knee is services they had in Umpa is, which is the grandfather, great-grandfather, the real original owners of the Rise and the Fall, where Geronimo was took to a jail cell and they dismembered his body. But the real story is they said he ran to the South Dakota hills, but they really chopped his body in pieces. Just like the Barelas in Pasco, Washington, and Lamb Weston. Now that's Bear, Terry Bear, and also Barela, and also Iron Bear, and Little. And this icon, Marshall Prowse, has the hieroglyphs, Sirius and Sirius. Hieroglyphs and services they have around the hieroglyphs on the services they got, which is Egypt, and also Egypt has the services they got at the Paramount in Pasco, Washington. These icons and prowlers, which are Umpa, these are grizzly bear spirit. There's two shields of sun symbols, a flask, Apache dancer. The craved and sandstone warrior shield carry untold spiritual force. Now this is the Appa. Appa is the true strength of the image of the captured enemy. Now, umpwa means bowed, stripped, or battle adorns and bone handles. As they take the buffalo horns from the Monroe Bridge in Spokane, they try to make you bow to them. Scare you. This shield is, they're trying to show you a lowered feathered Maiden stride into battle. These try and pluck and insinuate the potent image of the Sioux shield represents owners of the Dream Division of the Thunderbird. That's the horse, the shield, the slain, the Cheyenne represent the combat victory, which is Wyoming. And they show the raised shield of feathered man, so they chased all Indians out of Wyoming. So they figure they take your horse and shield, and Cheyenne represent combat, but that's still the figure emblem on the garment. Now, the Father Prairie was back when the Plateaus and Yakima River was in 1859. That's in Ephrata, across the street, George Washington House. But the Ephrata Courthouse was all Indian land. Up here on top of the hill, all the way to the hill to that canal is Indian land. And that's the back of the Ephrata Courthouse. In front of the courthouse is a horse, of Stampede. Those services connected to the outlet, which is connected to Simon's Mall, and also Columbia Park. There is a Father Prairie. The white man has honored Indians of the Catholic Missionary Period, and that's St. Joseph Church in Kennewick, Washington, Kennewick High School. This is a heavy-set angle of enormous strength, damn it, physical toughness, adventurous spirit, almost boundless, and they're all 5'6", 5 foot tall, 5'6" tall, 5'8", 5'9". Mary Mission, which is Steensville, Montana. That's Father Tom, Father Dylan, Father Richard, and Father Cepeda. These are hawks of the mountains, and that's the Fred of Washington Point. Goes into the cul-de-sac of Spokane where the buffalo roamed, and they took those down. And this is the 1800s to 1700s, with those headstones laid on Highway 17. Here on Highway 26, 17, overpass here in Othello, Washington. There's a mission, a Mary Mission, that's Stevensville, Montana. These are 1718, Custer's Last Stand. Those rocks and Custer's Last Stand, those monuments and services are called Bluffs of Iowa, Iowa Beef, Iowa. These parents in black robe, they take all the buffaloes from services and they stacked them and became Iowa Beef on Dodd Road, called Boise, Cascade, and Dodd Road. These are pride renewals, closing the circle is what they did. They closed the circle with the irrigation lines, the Maddox, Lindsay's, and also the Maxfields. These prides of renewals are I-82 Oregon. These are pride renewal, closing the circle. This uncharted land is still native land, also it's called the United States of America, and it's not for sale, it's for lease. And the services on the bottom line says that any issued among services still owners, so property owners, and will never be for sale, obviously. Any black minorities or different minorities are for accountable or not receive any funds, and the black minorities would have no black in the tribes. As you can see, it says Washington Umpwa. Markings and emblems are on there permanent. Has the power of the people of the names, and the earliest names native. As you can see, it says George Washington House. On the bottom half, it says on the tire document, it says the earliest times Native American tribes had gone two different names. They call them themselves the names given by the outsiders or written accounts of aliens. Often aliens were considered uncomplimented, designed to survive, and those people were described as better. Some examples. Prime examples. Mr. State Patrol Soderman traveling from Richville, Washington, all the way from U.S. Bank all the way to Buffalo Lola Hernandez, and Tupac and Mr. Snoop Dogg and Mr. Eazy-E lost a bet in the services of South Dakota Strong Arm, and Lola Hernandez going to the Yakima Reservation, Umpwa versus Lola Hernandez. They didn't last that long. That'd be Chance and Tamara and the little dog Felix. Apache from Zune, meaning an enemy to themselves, and Nide. Nide, which is Chance and Tamara, and Tamajars and Goodman Road. Now, Goodman Road is a state patrol unit, and on the reservation where they sit, the state patrol is our reservation, and the state patrol unit is called Zune and Needy. The people are these people are nuisance, these people are a burden, these people are obnoxious, and they're homeless, and they put in these individuals, they call them Needy and Zuna. This carries on for a spirit world where they will exist forever on your land. These are intellectual individuals and comes to known as traditions and teachings of ways, because some of the children and grandchildren will ask for the purpose of what and this and the unserving graves and also service receivers, names, documentations, and services. Old man demonstrates troubled traditions in the younger generations, Suicide who painted the Dakota teaching. Our small triplets in these sense survive. Mr. Revenue, as you can see, the village and the properties and also the Indian land that don't belong to them, and put a uniform on them, disguised them as, they would say, kukui, or monster, or black individual serpent comes out of his mouth. We have the original BBCs, beaded tennis shoes and Kenyas with Chini cross culture, with the TP Suix cross box originally. And it's the original documentation and picture of the founding father and grandmother, which was considered the post-series of Strongline. This is the services they have. They aimed at the armed trigger. Wounded Knee was outside Epley Church, where it followed Defender in 73, 72, 73, 72, and 74. Siege was faultly shot. Comes to the circle 83 years earlier, 250 of them died. Fired on by the United States, America. And besides America, there's Buffalo tradition where they sat the Iowa beef, the cattle shipment, and also the stack of buffaloes that was used for the materials and so on. There's just materialistic things now, but the services that you got to know is the Riverside, Spokane, Washington, and that's the Sacagawea High School, and also the Deaconess, and also the services, the churches that have a sacred hospital there as well, and also the students of the Riverside Justice Department, which is a Oklahoma, Mr. Oklahoma Unabomber at the oil company on Stratford Road in Moses Lake, Washington. This was 1901. We're given such basic instructions how to wash cloths and be between a wholehearted acceptance of anger, rebellion. These Canadians, ISIS, Taliban members, and so forth, these individuals come in custom and they were bought civilized at the time being. And these Indians and white mans that believed Indians were wrong, but they kept teaching in books and told about Indians by their serpent tongue. This is Through Indians' Eyes, Untold Story of Native American People. This is basically all the archive systems is binded up, but the tracking of information is accurate. It has all civilized liberties and individual appearance and sections and segregations and disputes of the natures is all there. And it's probably the only original book that you probably get your hands on, because this is the original, and this is the lake, upper country, the buffalo, the northern woods, the sea, which has the paths of warrior survival and the reservation years, and also the San Luis Obispo contract, where the services where they move the ship dirt, where they move all the bodies, which is San Luis Obispo Highland. Highland is all Yakima territory. Yakima Reservation, Washington State, actually. San Luis Obispo has considered the biggest plantation in California in the Yakima and also Tri-City back then that was belonged to Yakima, Washington, California, which was a gold rush. The gold rush pushed all the indigenous railroad system Indians into genocide. All the bodies were sent to a cremator. Your body was dumped twice. Your body was in a cremator, and they picked up your dead body and moved it into a conveyor belt and dropped your body and then dumped it off. Collected your body and put increments and put it in the stash in the warehouse. Put your name on it. Whatever your nickname was, they put it on it and stacked your Indian bodies there. And that's Burger King, the owner of McDonald's, the owner of Burger King, and also the owner of Carl's Jr. And you know, in fact, they boomed everywhere here in Washington State because they use the system as individual properties. You give disputes or contracts for your scholarships and also your partnerships of moving on to the system and figuring out that they use you as a full circle, using against each other. Giving you all the weapons, all the money, and all the drugs, and systems come back to a circle of basically what would be called the new way of life of Navajo. Scary kernels of life. This is probably the best updated system you can get in mid-colonial libraries. Through the Indian's eyes. Through the Indian's eyes? Why don't you say through the white man? This is Geronimo. This is probably the best artifact you can get. The most rebellion, the most genocide, the most powerful man on the planet they consider to be pulled through a foot slot and cut his hands off and then pretty much used and abused and processed and left for dead. But they say that he walked free and walked away as a spirit to change everyone's lives. Figure that the man was just like John F. Kennedy, basically. He was just like John F. Kennedy, womanizing, processing the system, but they couldn't prove that. We had so much grandfathers, children, and siblings that they couldn't be unaccounted for. Sitting Bull's son was a disgrace to the society and enrichments and considerations of oil artifacts and cartels that sufficient funds and services they filed bankruptcy because they couldn't even keep up with the construction outfits because they outfitted them and downsized the individuals. Research that.